And that's the end of the episode. And the end of season 5 as well. Wowza! Okay, I would say, like, it wasn't terrible. Like, I enjoyed it. That much I can say for sure. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't terrible. But compared to season finales from the previous 4 seasons, it was a little... It felt a little lackluster. Like, you know, I mean... Like, the showdown against Jordan, I feel, was just kind of underwhelming. Kind of. I think, you know, I expected a little bit more kind of... I don't know, like... It just felt like after everything they've been doing, after like how like given how Jordan was the last one left to go down and how big of a person they sent him up to be, it felt like they kind of took him down too easily. But I don't know. I mean, it was a nice callback that, you know, like to actually do this kill right. Like Jordan actually takes Lumen back to the beginning, back to the camp where everything started for him and his rapist crew. So like and Dexter and Deb managed to track individually, of course, they managed to track him down there and do their individual pieces. But I don't know, it just didn't. I mean, I mean, obviously, Lumen having that kill, of course, was only right as well. Like, she's killed the others, and like, given that this is the last one, Jordan, the way that crew operated was Jordan obviously gave the orders and told them, you know, unleash your primal urges, seize everything and whatever. So he was the one telling them all to do the stuff. So then, you know, he was like the mastermind behind all of it. He orchestrated all of those crimes. So it only makes sense to go for the brains behind the operation. And of course, leaving the brains behind the operation as the last one to live. So then I'm glad they actually gave, like, they did the right thing by actually having Lumen be the last, be the one to kill him, as she's done with most of the others. But I don't know. It felt like there was just a bit of monologuing, some kind of hostage keeping, some trickery on Dexter's part, a bit more monologuing, and then it was done. I don't know. It just didn't. It just felt kind of underwhelming. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way. Then so be it. If you guys thought it was perfect, then, you know, to each their own opinion and all. But I didn't hate it by any means. It wasn't like a terrible. It wasn't like a piece of terrible writing or anything. I just felt like they didn't really like. It didn't really live up to the whole to the gravitas that it was like the previous episodes were setting up, and it just seemed a bit more like another ordinary kill, as opposed to like, oh, this is the one kill that actually matters. If we let him go, then, you know, everything else has been for nothing. But this is the one that matters. But, you know, like they did eventually solve all the crimes. They did kill off everyone who was involved in the Barrel Girls case, and, you know, Lumen finally got to avenge her own trauma, which pretty much from the beginning, since her rescue at the hands of Dexter, it's been her mission. Her main mission has been to avenge her trauma and to take down everyone else who's kind of been involved in her assault and her rape, and she did do that, and for the most part she was allowed to actually do the kills herself and actually gain some proper first-hand kind of justice, and now she's leaving, and now she has left. So I mean, I don't know why I didn't see that coming. Like, my main concern before having watched this finale was like, oh god, I hope like the tables don't turn and Jordan doesn't kill her last minute, or I hope nothing bad happens to her. But the good things do happen to her. She avenged her trauma. She solved her own crimes, and she, you know, like, she got rid of, like, for the most part, she got rid of her pain. I mean, I don't think deep down, I don't think like she can never be able to undo like what's been done to her. And that, like, in crimes like this, that's the worst thing. Like, even when the person responsible has been jailed, or even in fictional in cases like this, murdered, like, the victim, the crime's still been done. Like, I think that's the hardest part. And I think even like subtextually, that's like kind of what Lumen's not really telling Dexter. Like, the darkness that she had in her is gone. She doesn't, like, she there's no one left that she feels a need to kill. Like, the only reason she felt a need to kill was because these guys were still out there, but now that darkness is gone. But deep down, I think the pain of that will still somewhat be there, that, like someone else actually felt authority over her body and over her innocence and stuff like that. And like that kind of pain of being violated and just being used is never gonna go away. And I think that's over the episodes, that's actually something that they've actually expressed very well. And it's kind of it was an interesting dynamic that was explored when Lumen and Dexter first shared a bed together. Like we didn't really we knew, I mean, I think we always had an idea that they would get together, but I think for her, like, having, like, sleeping with someone just didn't really seem like a possibility at any point. But I think even then, I think they did do a good job of actually building enough trust between her and someone like Dexter for her to actually be willing to not take that chance, but to actually have her own choice for once, as to have her own choice as to who gets to be intimate with her and how they get to be intimate with her. And she made that choice. And it's one of the things I actually loved about the way, like, that scene was, like, shown and stuff, like the kind of subtle mannerisms that's shown as well. Like, she has control for once and he lets her have control, and they share it essentially. Be like that darkness, I don't really think will ever truly leave her mind. And I think for the most part, like, I think for the most part, the PTSD that she has from that kind of like a horrific, like, period of her life will still somewhat remain, but for the most part it's gone. For the most part it is gone, and she can try, definitely she can try and rebuild her life now. And I don't know if she's going to be moving back to, like, where she came from, like back to her hometown or whatever, or because, I mean, Owen isn't there. Owen's on, like, a world tour of his own, so I think maybe she might go back home to her parents. That's going to be a whole nother story telling them what happened. But I think the main focus for her is pretty much, I think, rebuilding her life, and maybe not going back to the way things were, like, with or without the, like, even with or without what she suffered. Like, she ran away because everything was getting too much for her, and she just needed some space to think and actually build something else in her life. So I think that, like, this may be, like, her kind of take two, like, her second proper chance at doing such a thing. But yeah, so I think that, and that, I think that's another really interesting kind of story, like, character arc / storyline that was actually written well for this series as well. I think, what started off as a simple, like, just like a simple kill to help Dexter kind of relieve his own stress and to kind of, like, find his purpose as a serial killer again, turned into him having saved a victim of just like a multiple person long list of crimes, and then just stumbling onto this whole new case and everything. And I think that there was, like, a clear line of development between him and Lumen. Like, they started off not really wanting much to do with each other. Like, he saved Lumen and he wanted her to go back to the life she lived and just to be out of the way so he could get the job done. But Lumen wanted somewhat a similar thing. She wanted to actually get back at the people who did this to her, and actually gain some sort of vengeance. But I mean, but from the get-go, obviously, it was in Dexter's mind that she's not, like, ready or suited for this kind of thing. She's not suited for this kind of lifestyle. She's just going to get in the way, and it's going to be harder. So she needs to actually go home and be safe so he can take care of what needs to be done. But with her, it was far more of a case of, you either help me with this, or I will do it I will do it by myself. Like, there is no other middle ground here. I'm not going home. She tried it, and she realized that she couldn't go home, knowing that they were still out there, and knowing that they were just walking around unpunished for what they did to her and countless other girls as well. So like she had to come back and finish the job, and like especially with the kills as well, like like that was like another thing that had like a clear line of evolution, if you will. Like she started off taking just like pepper shots at Dan Mandel in an abandoned warehouse and just ever so slightly injuring him pretty much, and then Dexter finally took her on board and actually taught her the tricks of his very, very peculiar trade. And he kind of reluctantly took her on board, like showed her how things were done, and then afterwards he figured, you know what, you can have this kill and the kill afterwards, and you can have the kill afterwards. But they actually grew closer through this. That they, like, as ironic as it is, that they actually grew closer through like killing, through pretty much, like, in this case probably justifiable murder, but still like it's. I think it was nice because it wasn't an immediate jump into romance. And I think after having watched season 4, that was my main concern, that like they just throw another female character in and be like, yeah, now you two go and kiss and just forget all about Rita. But at the very least, the first few episodes of this season were focused on how Dexter was, how much Dexter was actually struggling to get past, like to move past losing Rita, and like what he could have actually done to stop it. And every time he's lost someone close to him, it's always been a case of it's his fault, because the people that like the people he's close to that die around him usually die because of what he does, because they get involved in what he does. They actually find out, or but I think Rita was that rare occurrence. Like she had no idea what he did, and he did a good job of keeping her out of it, but she still fell under the hand of the Trinity Killer. And I think, judging by what his cycle was, she actually fit into it fairly well. I think 2 kids, a mother, but yeah, because it's been so long since season 4, I can't remember exactly how the cycle went, but I think it was usually like a young girl in a bathtub, then what was it, I think a mother, and then the dad. So that's then 3, but then there was a 4th step, which was the young boy, which the young boys were usually kidnapped by him and then filed as missing persons, because then they would never find the body, so then it was only ever filed as a missing persons case, but they were still kind of like a hidden part of the thing. But with Rita, I think she was a mother of 2. So yeah, I think it wouldn't always be the same family that he attacked either. Otherwise, that would just be whole family murders. It was actually one person that matched the step from each, like from like a different family each time. So with Rita, I think she may well have been the mother of 2, or no, she was the girl, and she was in the bathtub. Yeah, so I think, what was that? The girl. I think it was the young girl, because it was his sister that slipped and fell. Like she broke the shower door or something that was glass, and it cut her artery, and then she bled out. But like she was a young girl. But I think with Rita, like he like maybe like she was the only one there, and I think chances are, honestly, that he just figured out that she actually had a connection to Dexter, so he just took that chance as well. Like like mother, young girl, or something else entirely. He just took that chance as well, and he just had her be the bathtub murder. But even then, like she fell into it because he got connected to Arthur Mitchell, because of what he does. So again, she was something slightly more indirect, but still intentional on Arthur's perspective. So that was the biggest loss he'd faced. That was a big loss, because like the one person he managed to keep the fuck out of his life still managed to get caught up in it and caught the really bloody end of the stick. So then after that, like the first couple of episodes really showed how the stress was actually hitting in, and how he just like he lost the one thing he was actually trying as hard as he could to protect, and that like he didn't know how to handle that stress, and he did a terrible job of revealing it to the kids and to the grandparents, and even just trying to process it himself. And had like a whole confessional scene in front of her in front of her body in the casket, and then actually went to go get the kill, and then came back, did the speech at the funeral, and all of that stuff. And then after that, I think that definitely was him actually trying to find a kill to actually get back into the groove. Because, you know, like, we know the way Dexter works, and especially how he works as a serial killer. Like, his killing is like, I mean, I don't want to say OCD because that would just probably be insulting to people with actual OCD, but, you know, it was definitely a routine he got pulled into that, like, you know, he can't live without it. He can't live without it. Like, he has to actually he has to kill something, like, not just as part of his code, but actually to keep himself in check. He actually has to kill something. So, you know, like, again, it was just like Boyd Fowler was just another target that he found, and then he happened to stumble onto something even bigger, which I personally feel like that was a nice way to set up this new season. Like, you know, he kills one person and he just unravels a whole fucking spider's web of all these other accomplices and these victims and this whole kind of ring of like rapes and murders and whatnot, and he has a whole new case to solve, and up until the truck crashed with all the Barrel Girls, he did manage to keep it away and under wraps from the Miami PD. But even then, that was just because Dan Mendel like got the word out to his other boys that that Lumen was alive. So yeah, that one's mostly on him. So yeah. But you know, I really loved how much of a dynamic duo they were. Like, she was never introduced solely to be his love interest. That stuff came a lot more organically, and I really liked that. You know, like, she started off as just like another kind of like a murderous intern of his, I guess you could say. But, you know, he never meant to catch any feelings for her. She never meant to catch any feelings for him. But, you know, he decided, you know, like, at the end of the day, he decided, you know what, I'll help you out, but you stay out of my way. And when I think you're ready to actually do this stuff with me, I'll call you along. But besides from that, he wasn't there to actually kind of hook up with her or anything, or even vice versa. So that stuff came a lot more naturally, and it was pretty well developed. So that I did like. But now Lumen is leaving, so I think I knew from the way like Dexter's lips were trembling, and he had like kind of look like he had a kind of like anxious look in his eyes, and his like he was just struggling to hold it all together, and he smashed the plate. I knew that was, knowing him, that is how he'd react, because as much like he wants the best of both worlds. He's always been like that. He always has, and you know, Rita was the longest he'd ever gone having the best of both worlds, and he went really far with Rita, from going just from a simple relationship and going from I chose Rita because she was damaged to he actually genuinely loves her and cares for her, and he wants to spend it, like, even if he had to find the words from a woman who murdered her husband, he still wanted, deep down inside, he did have that need and that desire to spend the rest of his life with her and to be a part of her life as much as she is a part of his. So, you know, like, having lost something as big as that, it took a big enough toll on him for him to want to find like someone else with that connection, or at least like to not let someone else go that had that connection. And even Ghost, like, you know, like Obi-Wan Harry in his head, just being like, you know, I've always told you this, like, this code is here for you to be able to blend in, like, you know, it's not there to help you like hook up on Tinder or whatever. Like, you know, he'd always told him, like, you know, you can always use this familial love and this marriage stuff as a cover, but you can never truly experience that without there being any kind of heartbreak or any kind of loss, or without something else getting in the way. And, you know, he's always made sure that, like, in a kind of guidance way, not in a way to like kind of tear him down or anything, but he's always made sure to tell him, like, you know, given what you are and what you do, and like all this baggage you have buried inside you, you can never truly have this. And he had to be the one to tell him that, but at the same time, he, as much as he wants it for his own son as well, he knows he can't have it. So I do think it was just as hard for Harry to kind of enforce that kind of ideology onto him as well. But like now, like, you know, like he does, like, having properly experienced it with Rita. He did make mistakes with Rita. That much is true. But, you know, he still kind of he still corrected his mistakes at the end of the day, and he did, like, at the end of the day, he did kind of ensure Rita knew that, you know, she was the only one for him, minus Lila. But, you know, she at the end of the day, she really was the only one for him, and she was the only one he wanted, and, like, that kind of, like, having built up that kind of connection, and then having it torn away, I think, you know, coming up, like having met Lumen, it wasn't easy. Like, I mean, it was easy to, like, not, like, reforge that connection there, because that's not what she was there for. It just so happened that they got along better than they expected, but, like, she wasn't there exclusively for him to reforge that connection. Like, I genuinely do think that she could have just as easily stayed as a simple accomplice or a friend to him, but, like, given how much they kind of connected to each other and sympathized with each other and got along, things did kind of go to farther lengths for them, and things did get better for them in a sense. So having lost Lumen now, I think, I mean, I don't think he's gonna be looking to reforge that connection with anyone else, because now, like he's just been, like, just kind of been through this time and time again, where someone connects to him in some way, and then they take a peek under the mask, and they don't run, but they don't exactly, like, stick around either. They might, like, Lumen is the first to not die, but simply to leave because she feels she has to. Like, there's nothing left for her here, and, you know, I think after everything they've been through and how they actually started off as well, I don't really think that she sees Dexter as someone she can actually spend her life with without getting in the way, or without there being any other kind of obstacles for them to have to overcome, and she's just not ready for that anymore. She has to actually build something for herself first. So whether or not she'll return in the show, I have no idea. I kind of hope she will, but I personally don't really see it happening, because I don't really think this is the kind of show where people can like come and go very, very easily. Like, the only time characters from the past pop up is where it's a revelation or a character reveal or something like that. It's not something like, you know, someone from season 2 leaving in season 2 and then popping back up in season 5. Like, hey, Dexter, you remember me? Like, it's not that kind of a show. So, you know, I don't really think Lumen will be coming back, but I do wish her good fortune where she goes, and good fortune in whatever she does, and I hope life will hold nothing but goodness for her, and I hope she does find what she's looking for, as long as she doesn't forget Dexter, which I hope she doesn't, but I don't think she will either, and Dexter's never going to forget her, so that is that. But yeah, Dexter and Lumen were great while they lasted. I did enjoy their kind of company together, and their kind of, like, the way their friendship evolved. But yeah, that is the end of Dexter and Lumen. And then there was a whole other subplot in this episode involving none other than our beloved Miami Metro PD detective Joseph Quinn. Yes, I mean, it's no surprise that, like, everything about Liddy gets uncovered in this one, but at first I was wondering what he was hiding from LaGuerta, like, about, like, as soon as she spotted the blonde. I mean, the most obvious thing he's hiding is the fact that he hired Liddy to stalk Dexter and find out what he was hiding, but then after stuff went down with Deborah, he effectively fired Liddy. He told him, you know, like, the case is over, I'm not stalking you anymore, and I don't want you stalking him anymore. We're done. Our whole kind of money in exchange for information business is done. I don't want you around anymore. And effectively threatened Liddy as well, which didn't really rub him up the right way. But I mean, I think besides from that, I think that was the main thing he was actually worried about getting out. The fact that he had Liddy stalking Dexter. And the footage that he had, like the surveillance equipment that he had, like had any evidence remained from that, then they would have actually, like, unveiled two truths: that Liddy was actually stalking Dexter, and also that Dexter was kind of training someone to kill for him. So then, had that footage come to light, I do believe a lot more light would also be shed on Deborah's theory about the vigilantes in the Barrel Girls case. I feel like she would uncover that and a whole lot more about her own brother. But yeah, like, so he was going to be questioned, but he wasn't really talking to anyone, and he was even holding back from Deborah, and he was waiting for an attorney. So I feel like if he was going to tell an attorney everything, then they probably would have told him, like, okay, say this stuff, say that stuff, but don't say this stuff. Just, like, just let me handle all the questioning. But yeah, but then the blood work did come back. Dexter actually did forge the blood work. He did kind of like fake the test results anyway, and have it come back as Quinn's own blood that could have happened from any other point in time and any other place. So the point still stands that he doesn't really like. He doesn't really like Quinn at all. Like, he just has issues with him. They don't have a good history together, so he just has no reason to like him. But he knows that Deborah does like him, and he knows how happy Quinn makes Deborah. So he, like, out of them two, the priority for him is always going to be Deb. So if Quinn being in the picture makes her happy, then make her happy as well. So that was a nice thing to do on Dexter's behalf, so I'm glad he helped Quinn out there. And I think even Quinn did thank him for his work on the blood work, and actually him getting released as well. So I don't feel like Quinn is indebted to him, and I don't think Quinn feels that way either, but he does feel grateful towards Dex. I think deep down even he knows that him and Dex have their kind of hard ground between them, or hard wall between them, and he knows that they haven't always gotten along, and they've had their own, like, history of kind of troubles and tensions and shit. But at the end of the day, they are both adults, so they can actually move past that, especially in the sake for Harrison's birthday party. And I think he does understand that Dex did what he did to actually make Deborah happy as well, because he knows that Quinn being there makes Deb happy. Like, they are good together, like, and even they have their shared kind of troubles and mistakes and stuff in the past, so they moved past it and they're together now. So yeah, I think, like, it's just two people kind of, like, moving past, like, the troubles they have and actually kind of putting the foot down and being the bigger people together for once. So I do commend Dex on his handiwork there. But yeah, what else? So Deb kind of walking in on the scene of the crime and letting Dexter and Lumen go. Honestly, I think the biggest thanks should go to that sheet of, like, thick plastic, whatever material that was, that sheet between them, just kind of, like, very, very clearly just kind of blurring their silhouettes out, so she couldn't properly make out who it was. The biggest thanks should go to that thing, because if that thing wasn't there, just but yeah, I mean, we've had a scare before of thinking thinking Deborah and Quinn were gonna walk into the scene of the crime of Deborah and of Lumen and Dexter killing Alex Tilden. So we had a bit of a scare there, but I do think that this one was the closest that they came, because they were literally in the same room. Like she had no idea who they were, just that they were the vigilante couple that she theorized. So they were there, and I did feel very, very worried, because I was like, wait, shit, is this when it happened? Is Deb actually going to figure out what Dex really is and have a peek under that curtain? Because she's, without a doubt, Deb might be the only one to, like, either get freaked out from the to actually, like, if and when she takes a peek under Dexter's mask, she might be the first one to either freak out from the get-go, or to try and contemplate this for, like, a few minutes and then just freak out regardless. But with this is the closest she came, and she I feel like in that scene she sympathized with them more than anything. Like, she did say, like, she had this theory once that there are some people who'd, like, deserve to die, but at the same time, first and foremost, she is a police officer. She's a cop. She's a detective. She she's a member of the law enforcement, and that means that, you know, she doesn't get to make the call as to who lives or who dies. She's not Frank Castle. She's not the Punisher. She doesn't get to make that decision. Her job is to find whoever's in charge of having committed the crime and bring them in and make sure that they serve justice, whatever justice that may be. So, you know, as much as she may want to take it, like to line up every criminal in the world and just shoot them off one by one, she doesn't get to make that decision. And as hard as it is to respect that, she still respects that. But, you know, like, and like, she can, I think that's like in cases like these, and especially I think even in stuff like Daredevil, with Daredevil and the Punisher, that kind of ideology has actually been like discussed between them as well. Like the fact that, you know, they don't get to decide who lives and who dies; they don't get to make that call. And with Frank, it's just like, you know, he's been a lot more hardened by what he's been through, so he kind of takes that upon himself because no one else will. But with this, I think it was definitely more of a case of they're not just killing any criminal they find. You know, like the victim, the main vigilante, she is obviously someone who's suffered at the hands of these criminals, so she's only doing her, but she's only killing them. She's not looking for more and more criminals to actually take down, but she's only taking down the people who are responsible for doing this to her. So with that one, it's like, I would say it's slightly more justified, but at the same time, it's like, again, like Deborah has a point. Like if everyone got to play God and chose who lived and who died according to like crime and the people responsible for committing them, then it would, like, the world would be like a very, very different story to tell. But, you know, with like Dexter, he is just the one helping her with this, but like with Deb, I think the main point was she knows exactly how that feels. Like, she sympathized very heavily with, or at least like partially with, the victim doing all of this. And, you know, like she knows, like, you know, all the way back in season 1, she was tricked and manipulated by Rudy, and, you know, she was made into his own thing, and like he was going to kill her. He was very much getting ready to kill her as well. So she knows how it feels to actually be used by other people, and like to be to be made into something you're not, and to kind of have that kind of cloud just hanging over you for the rest of your life, to the rest of your life as well. And I think that's a nice callback as well, to show that, you know, like, even for her, that pain is not completely gone. Like, Rudy's dead, but that pain is not completely gone from her life as well. Like even like in season 2, she still had that cloud hanging over. Like people calling her like Mrs. Ice Truck Killer and the bride of the Ice Truck Killer. Like, that cloud is still hanging over her today. Like, she can never forget that happened to her, and neither can Lumen. She can never forget it. Like, she can try and move past it, but, you know, it like, in some way, it's going to be a dark memory in the back of her head that she tries to suppress and everything. But you know, I think for that reason, she actually sympathized well enough with the main victim of all these crimes, and she sympathized well enough to let them go. Like, she said, you know, I'm gonna call the cops. They're gonna be swarming this place in about an hour, and it's gonna be a major case. So, you know, if I were you, I'd best be gone by then. So she did decide to let them go, and to like, I think, because even she knew that, you know, they weren't looking for anyone else. Jordan's dead. Their work here is done. They're not going to be like looking for other rapists to kill. It's mainly her trauma. She needs to take out the people who did this to her and countless other girls. So that's done. They're not looking for anyone else to kill. So they're not going to be on anyone's radar anymore. They're just going to go back as best as they can to living the lives they used to live. So, you know, and for Deborah as well, I commend her for that. But I mean, obviously, mainly because it was Dexter and Lumen, we can't afford to have them caught for killing people. But, you know, I think that was a very nice kind of parallel as to, like, seeing where Deb was coming from as well. And yeah, I think she said she filed Jordan Chase as missing. So I think, did she not call the cops in, or did she not call it in? Because she said that, you know, Jordan Chase has been filed as missing, and it's probably the work of the vigilantes. So, I don't, maybe she was bluffing about that as well. But I mean, Dexter did say, you know, like, we get rid of Jordan's body, and then we maybe call it in about a month from now, and then it will be a major thing that turns into a case. But I don't know. The main thing is she found, scene of the crime, found Jordan. And she did find the vigilantes responsible, but she did at the end. In the end, she did realize that they meant no more harm to anyone else, and their work was done. So she, and because of her of the sympathy she shared with Lumen, as indirectly as it may be, she did decide to let them go. So that was her piece. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have from this one. I think it was nice to see that Asta has completely moved on from the anger she held towards Dexter, and I think, you know, that one episode where she came back and actually had some time to spend with Dexter, that was a very, very good choice of the writers to actually bring her back, not solely just for the sake of helping her friend Olivia, but also for actually having to being able to spend some time with Dexter. That was a very good choice on their behalf. And now she's completely moved behind it. So now I assume next summer will be next season will be taking place over the summer vacation that the kids are going to be spending with Dexter. Or maybe not. Maybe it'll be afterwards. I kind of hope not, because it would be fun to see the kids back with Dexter again, actually being a proper family again this time. But yeah, that happened. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the season. First off, and you know, I mean, when people said that season 1 to 4 is pretty much the best of the show, and everything from there is for the most part just downhill, I didn't fully anticipate for season 5 to be like the best kind of like to be where the downhill stuff starts off. I thought, you know, season 5 may not be as good as season 4, but it's still good enough, and then from there onwards from here onwards it's just kind of not as good. But you know, season 5, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Loved Lumen. It was a great storyline for her character, and it's a great storyline to kind of evolve her character throughout the episodes. Brought a new light onto Dexter and showed how showed how kind of he has evolved as a character as well, and kind of moved past some stuff, but also still struggling to deal with some other stuff. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this season as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future has in store for Dexter Morgan and company. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have for this episode, as well as for this season. Great season, enjoyed it, looking forward to the next one. But yeah, that was Dexter season 5, episode 12, titled The Big One, and it definitely was in this season. But yeah, that is it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode, and what you thought of this season as a whole, and what you're looking forward to in the next one. And yeah, that is it. So I will see you guys next time.